Hi guys, welcome back to the vlogs. Hey, Faith is back. We missed her. And I was like,
Hey guys, we are doing surface area today, and that involves dealing with nets. Okay. So let's talk about surface area. Everything that we're doing is a formula.
yay! It's like, don't you love this chapter? It's like all formulas.
It is all formulas. Yeah.
Yay!
So that's on you because it's plug and chug if you know the formula.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, so a cube. A cube surface area is this. Okay? A cube surface area equals 6 times the side squared. Because when I find the area of a square, what do you do? If I have a square, how do I find the area of a square? Side squared, right? And how many sides are there in a cube? 6. That's where that 6 comes from. So it's 6s squared. Does that make sense? Because I'm taking the area of every face and adding them together. And since there's 6 square faces, I'm multiplying by 6. Okay? So a cube is 6 times s squared. Okay? So the area of a cube is 6 times s squared. A rectangular prism. On a rectangular prism, I have 4 different rectangular shapes, correct? I have this one right here. That's my height and my length, yes? I have one right here that's my length and my width. And then I've got this base one and the top one that is my height and my width. Okay? So to find the area of a rectangle, you do length times width, right? Okay. Well, when it's a prism, it's now 3D. So I have 2 of these shapes that are length times width. I have 2 of those, one here, one there. So I do 2L times W. What?
This is random off topic, but did you do something different with your eye makeup?
No. Oh, and I actually only have mascara. Okay, and then here I do length times width, or height times width, right? 2 times height times width, because this base one and this top one are my height and my width. Okay? And then the next one, I do length times height, which are these rectangles right here. And I do 2 times that because there are 2. And I add all this together and I get my rectangular prism surface area. Does that make sense? Okay, you're finding the area of each surface and adding them together. A sphere. A sphere is what shape? A circle, okay? So a sphere has its own formula because circles, to find the area of a circle, what is your formula? Pi r squared. For a sphere, we're going to take that formula, pi r squared, we're going to multiply it by 4. Because think about this. When you do something that's 360 degrees, how many quadrants do you go through? If I create a circle, right, it's technically on a grid, yes?
The whole thing.
And so if I do, how many quadrants?
4.
4. So I'm multiplying 4 pi r squared because I have a 3-dimensional object. So it's like that, okay? Or pi r squared. For a circular cylinder, a right circular cylinder, being precise on this, if I don't have a right circular cylinder, I can't use this, meaning that I have a perpendicular bisector done, okay? If I have a right circular cylinder, my 2 bases are circles, yes? Okay, so I'm doing 2 pi r squared, because the area of a circle is pi r squared, and I have 2 of them, so 2 pi r squared, plus 2 times pi times my radius times my height. Okay, because technically when I break down a cylinder into its net, I have 2 circles and I have a rectangle, yes? Okay, so I'm doing 2 times pi times r times my height. Makes it super simple that way. For a right circular cone, okay, a right circular cone, my surface area is pi r squared because that's the base, the area of my base, and then times pi times my radius times my length. Sometimes, okay, look, if it's a circular right cone, that means I have this going on right here. Okay, I have my height and I have my radius. How can I find my length if it's not given to me? How can I, what are you thinking? Just tell me what your thoughts are. Yes, Pythagorean theorem. because my length would be my c squared, it would be my hypotenuse. Good, Carla. Okay, so if they don't give you your length, you have to, and they give you your height and your radius, you have to use Pythagorean theorem to find it, okay? A right square pyramid. A right square pyramid is, once again, the base is a square, so it's s squared, okay, your side squared, plus 2 times s times l. So 2 times my side times my L stands for slant height again, okay? L is always going to stand for slant height. If you look here, a right pyramid looks like this again. So I can find my slant height, okay, because of how this is a triangle in here. Okay? So that L does not stand for length on your pyramid and on your cone. It stands for the slant height. Slant height, meaning the slant that's happening here. Okay? Give you a second to copy this down. And we're just gonna look at just a couple problems, not too many, because honestly on this, it's all about just doing it. Okay? In your book, there is on page 491, okay, they give you your cube, prism, cylinder, regular pyramid or right pyramid, your right cone, and your sphere. They give you formulas. On your prism, okay, let's talk about this real quick. On a prism, which isn't up there, okay, on a prism, we're going to do 2b plus ph. Okay, so for a prism, it is 2b plus pH is your surface area. Okay, what do you think B stands for? No, it stands for the area of the bases. It's the area of the base.
If it was lowercase b, that would.
Yes, then that would be the base. What does the P stand for? What do you think? What? Perimeter. Okay, and here's what it means by perimeter. It means the perimeter of whatever your base is. Okay, it's not the perimeter of the whole thing, it's just the perimeter of the base. Okay, and what does H stand for? Yeah, height. Okay, so you can break it down for a prism into something similar. This can apply for a cube, for a rectangular prism, for a triangular prism. If you have a triangular prism, the rectangles are not your base. The triangles are. Just remember that. Anytime it's a triangular prism, my triangle is the base. Hence the term triangular prism. Okay? And then you would use that formula. You would find the area of the base of a triangle. Now, question. How do you find the area of a base of a triangle? Or how do you find the area of a triangle? 1/2 base times height. 1/2 base times height.
Oh, but triangle, I'm thinking
Yes, of a triangle. 1/2 base times height. If I'm multiplying it by 2 times the base, which is 1/2 base times height, what happens to that 2 and 1/2? They cancel. So really, if you're finding a triangular prism, all you have to do is do base times height and then add it to the perimeter times the height. Okay? Otherwise, the formulas look pretty similar. The regular pyramid, instead of saying s squared down there, it says the big B. But the big B stands for the area of the base, and if the base is a square, it's s squared, okay? I think it's easier that way personally, but that's just me. Okay, so let's look at just about 2 or 3 problems, then I'm gonna give you the rest of the bell to work on all this, because honestly, it's just plugging stuff in, okay? The hardest part is probably this, nets, when I deal with nets. Because we don't think about taking 3D objects and smashing them out into their 2D form, okay? But we can, for any 3D object, we can create the net of it, yes.
Well, you just like find like the perimeter of each one.
For what? To find the dimensions of the figures?
Yeah, then you just add them all up there.
Sort of. So if I know that this would, what shape do you think this would be right here? A rectangular prism, right? What's the formula for a rectangular prism for the surface area? Yes, it's 2LW plus 2HL and then plus 2HW, right? Okay, Here's why that works that way, because if I take this, and this is 4 and 2, what's the area of that right there?
8.
8 centimeters squared. What would be the area of this one?
8,
What's the area of 6 and 2?
12,
12.
12,
And then what is this one?
24,
Because it's 6 and 4
and 24.
and 24. So that's where they're getting that from. Sometimes they're going to ask you to draw the net of an object.
Ooh, no.
So a net allows us to see all the faces of a three-dimensional figure at once, okay? Whether I do the formula the way that you're taught with 2LW, 2WH, 2HW, it's the same as breaking it down into its net and adding all of those portions together. 24, 24, 8, 8, 12, 12.
Oh, it's not bad.
Okay, it's the same concept, they're just showing you that you can break it down. The problem is, they're going to ask us to draw the nets of things, and you're gonna be like, how in the heck do I draw a net of that? Okay, how would you draw a net?
of a sphere.
Well, we'll get there in a second, let's find the surface area of this first. I want the surface area, question mark, how? What's my basis on this?
7.
Time out.
26.
What shape is my base on this?
A rectangle.
No, what shape
Oh.
is this? What shape is this?
A triangle.
A triangular what?
Prism.
Prism, so my base is a
Triangle.
Told you you'd mess that up. Okay, so if my base is a triangle, how do I find the areas of my base? Remember, what is the formula for the area of a, surface area of a triangle? Surface area equals what?
Oh, triangle you said?
Of a triangular prism.
2 times base on height.
Two, what?
Base plus height?
No, 2 times the area of the base plus what?
The perimeter.
The perimeter times the height.
Oh my.
So what is my base of this triangle?
Where is it? That does not say
It would be
triangle.
1/2 of what? Okay, 4 goes with it. What's my base of the triangle? What's my height of the triangle? So 4 times 3, right?
Yeah.
What's the perimeter of my triangle? 4,
7,
3,
5,
and
5.
5. Plus 4, oops, I wrote 5 and I said 4. Plus, this goes like this, right? 4 times, no, plus 3, plus 5. And then what would be my height then?
3.
No, what's left?
7.
7. My height comes from my rectangle. On a triangular prism. My height comes from the rectangle. Now, what's 4 times 3 times 1/2 times 2?
Math.
We already talked about how 2 and 1/2 cancel, so you get 12. 12. So surface area equals 12 plus, what's 4 plus 3 plus 5? No. 4 plus 5 is 9, right? 9 plus
12.
3 is 12. What's 12 times 7?
84. 12 times 7 is 84.
And then add 84 and 12 together and you get what?
96.
So 96 millimeters squared. That is the surface area of that triangular prism, okay, with those dimensions, okay? In your book, there's an example for a cylinder. There's 2 examples for cylinders. Let's look at this one. I don't know how to draw this one. Let me see if I can draw this sheet.
Oh,
That's close enough, right?
Because I was shaking.
Let's shape. Okay, so let's say you have a pyramid.
that looks like a house with 2.
I know, that's because I can't draw 3-dimensional objects like a pyramid. I struggle.
Just make a
Go draw a
triangle.
pyramid.
Right.
And then, wait, what? Why would you need a square?
Because those are the
Base.
squares.
Go that way. Yeah, and then inwards. Okay.
You can't draw it.
Wait,
Yes.
I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, Carly.
Yeah, Carly.
Yeah, Carly taking the dough. Maybe.
See, that's how I started it.
What is she doing?
She has it drawn right on her paper. Beautiful. That works. It's basically beautiful. Okay, so let's say that you have this pyramid, okay? What would the net look like on a pyramid?
Triangles and a square in the middle.
Yeah, like now I have
4 triangles.
Okay, kind of like a star, yes. So I have a square, right? I have a triangle here,
Yeah,
triangle here,
wasn't wrong. It
triangle
was 4
here,
triangles and a square in
triangle
the
here,
middle.
right? Okay.
Looks like a ninja star.
Yes, okay, so I had got that stuff going on. How do you find the surface area if I tell you that these bases here are 8, okay? And that my height is, I don't know, what is it? 14. How do you figure out the area of a pyramid, the surface area of a pyramid? Surface area equals what of a pyramid? So S squared plus what?
2SL.
2SL. Okay. So what's my S squared? That should be easy. 8 squared, okay. And then my S is 8. What's my L? How do I?
4.
It's your slant height.
It is your slant height. It is your slant height, isn't it? How do you find your slant height? Wait, you said it's 2SL. It shouldn't just be 2SL. It should be 2. Are you sure you copied that down there?
Yeah.
Probably not. Let me see something.
Is this a regular pyramid?
In the book, it's different. I know. 2 times, but let me think about that. It might work out the same. Give me a second to think. Because 8, 8, 8, and 8 is 32, right?
Yes.
8 times 4 is 32, right? Oh, okay. I know. 2 SL, 1/2, Oh, they're changing it to 2 SL. Okay, so what is your slant height? What is your slant height? How do you figure out your slant height? They give it to us by chance or not? Well, it depends. So they told us that this right here is 14, right? Yes. Okay, and this is what makes the right angle with this, okay? Okay. So 14 becomes my slant height.
So,
It will work, it'll work.
so Ms. Peters, the slant height and the height are the same thing? In this case?
Well, see, that's why I like, this formula is different. Because it is a right pyramid, my base, the area of my base is 64, right? Then I have to find the perimeter, 1/2 of the perimeter times the slant height, which stands for L. Okay, so then the perimeter of my base would be 8 times 4, which is 32, times 1/2, because that's 1/2 of my perimeter, which is 16, right? Which is what we have right there already, because we did 2 times 8. We just changed it. Instead of finding the perimeter, we said 2 times the side, which is 16, which is the same as the perimeter, okay? And then your slant height in this case, yes, is also 14, because when I break it down into my net, this is what is 14, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and my slant height has to come from my peak and create a 90-degree angle with my opposite side, with my base. Okay, so on some of them, it's going to be this part here, if that's what creates the 90-degree angle. but on some of them, it's gonna be here, depends what shape you have.
And will they like state that,
What?
like which, the height for each?
They should, yes, yes. So then I have this, so I have 64 here. What is 2 times 8 is 16, and what's 16 times 14? We're gonna do one in a second, that's a little different, okay?
224.
224, and what's 224 plus 64?
288.
288 meters squared. Now let's look at one that is a triangular base, okay? Let's say you have a triangular pyramid, not a square pyramid, okay? A triangular pyramid. That means I would have this. If I break the net, I'm gonna just do the net because I can do nets better. Okay, that means your base, your net, is an equilateral triangle. Base is always an equilateral triangle, okay? So when you're doing that, that's an equilateral triangle, making this 6, let's say that this is 6, okay? Then I have 3 triangles that come off of this, right? Okay? Does that make sense? If I have a triangular pyramid, they fold up to make the triangular pyramid, okay? We're gonna say that this right here is 8, okay? We're gonna name these centimeters, centimeters. And we're gonna make this, perpendicular to there, okay? Now, to find the area, okay, here's where this is gonna be a little different, Korea. To find the surface area of this object, you're still doing what formula? If it's a triangular prism, do you know what formula you're still using? Yeah, the triangular prism one, yes. So what was formula is that? Surface area equals what? 2b plus what?
pH.
Yeah, the perimeter times the height, or we said to the side times the slant height, right? Wait a second. That's not right. Whenever you have triangles, you have slant height involved. That's the wrong formula. You have 2 times the area of the base, and then 2 times S. Yeah, well, stop. Listen. Go up to right triangular pyramid. What is your formula for triangular pyramid? Anybody can answer what the formula for a triangular pyramid is. You copied it down.
I didn't think there was a triangle. There wasn't.
Guys, use some common sense. Which of these is a triangular pyramid?
It's definitely the
Bottom
sphere.
The bottom right. So what's the formula?
X2,
plus
X squared plus 2.
2SL. Thank you. Okay,
Oh, I thought it was a sphere.
I need you to connect some vocabulary here and think. Okay? So you had S squared plus 2S times L, my slant height, right? Okay. Now, instead of it being S squared down here, it's going to be 2 times the base, because my base isn't A squared. Otherwise, the second portion of the formula is still the same. 2 times my side times my slant height, okay? Or the way you can reword it or rewrite it is 1/2 of my perimeter times my slant height. That's the same thing. 1/2 of my perimeter is the same as 2 times my side. Okay? So, start with this. How do I find the area of this base? What is my base?
6.
6. Okay? This is my base here. Do I have a height to that base?
8.
No.
No.
No, I don't. So if it is an equilateral triangle, and I need to find a height to this, look, this is where geometry is going to come in. That means that I've now created what type of triangle?
Right.
A right triangle. How can I find that height?
Pythagorean theorem.
Yeah, sort of, Pythagorean theorem. They work Pythagorean theorem backwards. pretty simply. And they say 6 squared minus 3 squared, okay? Because what's half of 6?
3.
3. So this side length right here, this portion would only be
Oh, 3.
3, okay? So they do the square root of 6 squared minus 3 squared because they go ahead and set it up into the formula for you without changing everything around for Pythagorean theorem, okay? Because this triangle, if it's equilateral, means that this is 60, 60, 60, right? Which means now I have, when I divide it like that, I get a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And what do you know about 30, 60, 90 triangles? So if I take this segment right there of that triangle, right? This became 3 down here, yes? This degree would be 60, yeah? And this degree would be 30. How does this compare to that side? How does this compare to that side on
Oh,
the 30?
it's like the radical and then the 2 radical.
Uh-huh, so you gotta know which one it is.
That's the 2 rad.
No, it's not
That's
2.
the
because-
radical.
Time out. It's 30, 60, 90, which means there's something with radical 3 times it, and there's something
That's
times
the
double
3
it.
radical. And that's the 2.
This one's the 3 radical, right?
Yeah.
And this one's 2 times 3, which is,
6.
that's how they got these in here. 6 squared, negative 3 squared, so I can figure out what that is.
I like the way you did it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to be able to do it one of those 2 ways. Recognize it one of those 2 ways. Okay? So 6 squared and 3 squared, so then I get 36 minus 9, right? What's 36 minus 9? What's 36 minus 9, guys?
7.
27. So you get the square root of 27, right? Woohoo! This is gonna make some fun here. So to find the base of a triangle, you do the base times the height. What's my height now?
6.
No. Square root of 27. So what's the square root of 27 times 6, right? Is that the base? Yep. What's 6 times the square root of 27? You should get a decimal answer.
Well, are we going to do this with?
31 point what? 17?
Is that for you?
What?
Oh, timeout. So we figured out that this was 27, radical 27, right? But my base is actually only 3 on that triangle. So you have this, you have surface area equals 2 times 1/2, right? Because the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. But my base is 3 times my height of radical 27 plus 1/2 my perimeter times my length. So what's 3 times radical 27? That's what you're looking for.
9.
It should be 15.5 or 15.6, something, yeah. Okay, 15.6. Because when I divide it by 2 and multiply it back by 2, those 2 cancel, right?
Right in front of the window.
Now, 1/2 of my perimeter, okay, of my perimeter. How do you figure out what your perimeter is? Yeah, you add up all the sides, right? And if it's equilateral, and this side is how long?
6.
So what's 6 plus 6 plus 6? 18. So I get 1/2 of 18 times my slant height. And what is my slant height on this?
8.
8. Good. So what's 1/2 of 18? 9. What's 9 times 8? 72. What's 72 plus 15.6? 87.6 centimeters squared. Okay? And you're working on a bunch of different surface areas tonight. Okay? If it's easier for you to break it down into the net, do so. If it's not, just plug it into the formula. Okay? Unless they're specific and say, what shape does this cause net-wise, or like break this shape down into its net, then I want you to do that.
Are there going to be any problems like this one?
Yes. Okay. Jayla.
Like, subscribe, comment, tweet me, active, anything else to add, Faith.
I know.